All right, welcome everybody to the Winter City Council meeting for Monday, June 6th, 2023. This time, the City of Winter will implement roll call. Councilman Clay is absent. Councilman Frank.
Here.
Councilman Hockett.
Here.
Councilman Clunt.
Here.
Councilman Schramm.
Here.
And Councilman Sprinkle.
Here.
If you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, having had time to review your packets, are there any conflicts of interest? Seeing and hearing none, Chair will move on to this evening's consent agenda. Council, is there a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Councilman Hockett has made a motion to approve the consent agenda. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Sprinkle. Floor is open to questions.
Mr. Mayor, for the public's information, item 3, 4, and 5, the retirement of Doug Gossard from Corrections, resignation of Catherine Teeger from Police, and the resignation of James O'Connor from Corrections.
Noted. Hearing no other comment or questions, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. Reviewing your packets tonight, is there a motion on this evening's agenda, Council? Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second.
Councilman Clunt has made a motion to approve the agenda. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Frank. Floor is open to comment, question. Seeing and hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. City of Winter now moves on to recognition of visitors and communications from the City of Winter. As with all City Council meetings, we make a 10-minute window available for the public to address the Winter City Council. Is there any public input? Seeing no public input, we'll move on to our first communication. I'll turn the mic over to the Finance Officer, Chandra Phillips.
Fuel bids for the week of May 17th. Number 2 dyed diesel, Schaefer. Number 1 diesel, Volun Oil, 50/50, Volun Oil. Regular unleaded, Volun Oil. Propane, CHS. Fuel oil, Schaefer. For fuel bids of the week of the 24th. Number 2 dyed diesel, Schaefer. Number 1 diesel, Volun Oil, 50/50, Volun Oil. Regular unleaded, Schaefer. Propane, Schaefer. Fuel oil, Schaefer. And from May 31st. Number 2 dyed diesel, Schaefer. Number 1 diesel, Volun Oil, 50/50, Volun Oil. Regular unleaded, Schaefer. Propane, CHS. Fuel oil, Schaefer.
Our next communication will come from the Finance Officer, Chandra Phillips, on new hires.
The current new hires that have passed all background checks have been offered and accepted and filled out all paperwork as of Friday are Jace Robertson in the jail. He's moving from from part-time to full-time, 6-month probation, full benefits at $19.65 an hour. Catherine Teeger has been offered a part-time police officer at $21.98 in the police department with no benefits. Kelsey Flores has been moved to a lieutenant position in 911 at $22.56 per hour, full benefits, 6-month probation. Sierra Shields has moved from full to part-time in 911 at $21.17 per hour. Kevin Carter has accepted a full-time position as a corrections officer in the jail, $19.65 per hour, full benefits, 6-month probation. Tyrell Andrews has accepted a full-time position in the jail, $19.65 an hour, 6-month probation, full benefits. And finally, Sita Schuyler has accepted at $13.40 per hour at the pool as a lifeguard, no benefits.
Our next communication will come from the Public Works Director, Troy Kruger, on the purchase of a trailer from an approved bid agency.
Month ago or so, the council approved to use the buy board buying process, which is a government agency that does the bidding for us, or does the quoting for us, and allows us to purchase. With that, we purchased a walking floor trailer for our transport station in the amount of $116,250, purchased through buy board.
Very good. Thank you, Troy.
Pardon me? He does. You don't have it. Nobody told me to bring it. Sorry.
That will conclude communications and recognition of visitors for this evening. There are no department reports, and there are no bid openings. City of Winter has no public hearings and no Board of Adjustments. City of Winter now moves on to old business. First item, council, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to take off the table resolution 2023-9, a starting wage agreement.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second that.
Councilman Frank has made a motion to take off the table Resolution 2023-9, the starting wage agreement. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Sprinkle. Floor is open to comments or questions. Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of taking off the table Resolution 2023-9, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. Item number 2. Is there a motion, council?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion, resolution 2023-9, a starting wage agreement.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second.
Councilman Sprinkle has made a motion to bring off, or not bring off the table. The motion is Resolution 2023-9, a starting wage agreement. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Frank. Floor is open to comments or questions.
Mr. Mayor, what the council and public have in front of them are three amendments to our current starting wage agreement. The 3 amendments are: the corporal position in the corrections department would go up $1.25, so it would go from $20.31 to $21.56. The corrections officer would go up $1.75, from $19.65 to $21.40. The only other change is a corrections officer part-time. If an employee is part-time as a corrections officer, they will remain at the $19.65 starting wage. This only amends your starting wage entry level.
Very good. Council, are there any questions?
If I understand correctly, Mr. Mayor, this starting wage, we are the 3rd largest jail in the state of South Dakota. Our starting wage is currently 12th on the list, and this will move us to 5. I think it's a good move for us to make at this time.
Any other comments?
I would concur with Mr. Schramm. I think it's a good move at this time to move forward with this, to address some issues that we have over there, and I think this would be a good starting place to get things rolling. So I agree with that.
Any other comment, council? Hearing none, Chair will now call the question by a roll call vote. All those in favor of adjusting the starting wage
Roll call.
agreement by roll call? I did say that, but I'm just paraphrasing so everybody understands. Councilman Clunt.
Yes.
Councilman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle.
Yes.
Councilman Frank.
Yes.
Councilman Schramm.
All right,
This motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. Item number 3, council. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, is this just more of a housekeeping thing rather than,
To clarify, Councilman Schramm, the first one was just the starting wage scale for all new employees.
Okay.
This is actually now taking off the table the current wages and adjusting those to match that wage, starting wage that you just adjusted.
okay? I'd make that motion then to take it off the table.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Councilman Schramm has made a motion to take off the table and amend the list of current employee wages. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Hockett. The floor is open to comments or questions.
No other level of wages has changed other than the ones that we just voted on. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct.
And some not in the full amount of what was adjusted.
I'm sorry?
If you look at that adjustment of the new wages down in the line officers, some of them didn't come up the full $1.75. They came up $1.58
Yep.
to meet that level.
To get to the 2140.
Correct, yes.
Yep.
Other comments, council? Hearing none, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. The question. Oh, I'm sorry. We're still on taking off the
We
table.
just took it off the
Yeah.
table. It doesn't have to be roll call.
Thank you. All those in favor of bringing this item off the table, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. That motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. Item number 4. Council, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to amend the list of current employee wages.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Councilman Frank has made a motion to amend the list of current employee wages as listed. Councilman Hockett has seconded that motion. Floor is open to comment or questions.
Mr. Mayor and council, in front of you, you don't have the names of the employees, you just have the years and their levels. In the minutes, it will list the individual employees. That's required by state law anytime you adjust somebody's wages. So I will have that in there, but for the protection of our employees and based off of this was now the 3rd meeting that this is at, we left names out of it at this time, but your minutes will reflect the names. For public information, we did go through the whole exercise of figuring out how this adjusts things. It took their wages up $26,739.20. But with everything coming in and because they dropped 2 employees, because of the different situations going on, the expansion and everything, they're actually going to come in $7,941.85 less than what was budgeted.
Council, are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none. Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. The question at hand is amending the list of current employee wages. Councilman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle.
Yes.
Councilman Frank,
Yes.
Councilman Schramm,
Aye.
and Councilman Clunt.
Yes.
The ayes have it. This motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. On to new old business. Item number 5. Council, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve second reading and pass the approval of ordinance 1052 and ordinance amending chapter 75-1 in the Winter Municipal Ordinance Book.
Is there a second to this motion?
I would second that, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Clunt has made a motion to place on second reading for passage and approval ordinance 1052, an ordinance amending chapter 75-1 of the Winter Municipal Ordinance Book. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Schramm. The floor is open to comment or question.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. Is there a reason why this can't explain, rather than just the name and number, that this is the ordinance dealing with the weight limits on our streets?
It can.
It can.
Okay, I would ask in the future that we have a brief explanation rather than this number and this dot dot. If you could, please, thank you.
Noted.
Too lazy to look it up.
No, that's fine, Councilman. Any other comments? Hearing none, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Sprinkle,
Yes.
Councilman Frank,
Yes.
Councilman Schramm,
Yes.
Councilman Clunt,
Yes.
and Councilman Hockett.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. City of Winter is now in new business. There are 7 items to be considered this evening. Item number 1, council, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to put on first reading ordinance number 1051, the city sanitation service to provide for certain outlaw utility customers.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second.
Councilman Schramm has made a motion to place on first reading ordinance 1051, a city sanitation service to provide certain outlaw utility customers service. The motion has been seconded by Councilman Clunt. The floor is open to comment or question.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Mr. Jensen, the floor is yours.
Council will recall that originally there was an alternate version of this that had a little broader scope. This brings back into the original scope that only applies basically to 7 of our utility customers whose property actually lies just outside of city limits, but their property is only accessible through a city street. And so as part of our program of protecting the streets from the heavy garbage trucks, we included these 7 within the availability of staying on the city garbage collection service, as it's in our best interest to provide that service and keep the light trucks on our city streets.
Councilman Hockett.
Our new contractor, is he willing to provide service to these 7 then? Have we discussed that
He has.
and get that all worked out so that there's not a problem there?
My understanding, and I've not talked to him personally, but I know of those that have, and I know that he does not have a desire to go beyond this at this point in time.
Yep.
Until he gets everything, all the bugs worked out. But with these 7, not a problem.
Specific 7, he doesn't have a problem with.
Not a problem.
Okay, good.
Other comments? Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of placing on first reading ordinance 1051, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This motion will pass unanimously, 5-0, to place on first reading. Item number 2. Council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the pay request number 8 from PCN Highway Project in the amount of $99,483
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second.
Councilman Clunt has made a motion to approve pay request number 8 for PCN X05H, the highway project, in the amount of $99,483.33. His motion has been seconded by Councilman Frank. Floor is open to comments or questions.
Mr. Mayor, if, when you approve the claims and this goes through, if you would add this to your claims, that would be wonderful.
I was going to say that. You beat me to it. No, that's awesome. Hearing no further comment, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of paying pay request number 8 in the amount of $99,483.33, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, would you please say nay? The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. Item number 4. Council, is there a motion?
Item number 4.
How about number 3?
Oh, number 3, I am so sorry. I'm not following 3 from the bottom of one page to the top of the other.
I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-12, a resolution amending certain policies of the City of Winter Personnel Policy Book.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second.
Councilman Schramm has made a motion to approve Resolution 2023-12, a resolution amending certain policies of the City of Winter Personal Policy Book. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Clunt. The floor is open for comment or questions.
What is this changing?
Mr.
Jensen.
That's why we have an attorney in our presence.
This essentially takes certain things that have historically been under the finance officer or the HR department. And specifically, I'm talking about things such as grievances, complaints, investigations, those types of issues, and puts those under the auspices of the city attorney.
And exit interview.
Pardon me?
And exit interviews.
And exit interviews, thank you, yeah.
And storage of all records
That's part of it.
That is correct.
under the attorney instead of.
That's a part of it as well, that's
Yep.
correct. So, that's mainly it. The other thing, which was corollary only because it's an assignment to the city attorney, is for whatever reason, our previous situation had the the ADA coordinator assigned to the HR department, which makes no sense. Our ADA coordinator is our
Code enforcement.
thank you, code enforcement officer. And so under this provision, the code enforcement officer will be officially, under this policy as well, the ADA enforcement person as well, but the city attorney will be working with that officer to ensure compliance with the ADA.
Councilman Hawkins.
So any grievance or complaint within the ranks and file of our personnel for the city of Winter will no longer be handled by HR or Chandra. It's going to be handled by you.
That's correct.
Okay?
That's correct.
That's simple.
And I should clarify one thing, HR historically has been a position whose job is to help all of the employees deal with benefits, whether it's pay, benefits, things like that, payroll, all those issues.
Sort through all
We're
that.
going back to that scenario.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, for the public perception of this, there's been a lot of questions from employees on it too. The main reason that this change is happening is due to this situation, that's not a correct term, but the location of where our HR office is and what our HR director's job title is. Half of that job position is for financial help in the finance office and half of it is for HR. I cannot because of how busy we are in that office, separate that position out of the office to make it more private because of the backup that they provide to the finance office. And in listening to many employees, a lot of the complaints that we were hearing, concerns, reasons why grievances were not being turned in, exit interviews were not being turned in, was simply due to the public nature of it. We have people who come up and pay a bill, and you can see the HR office directly from that window. We're doing everything we can to protect employees with their with their benefits and their payroll. We're shutting the blinds, we're shutting the doors, everything we possibly can. But if they feel more comfortable being able to go to another office outside of the finance office where many people can see them come in to file a grievance or to turn in an exit interview, we would love to do that. So HR's new direction, and you'll be seeing a change to the job description coming through as well, because our that position's job description does clearly outline they are in charge of this, but at this point in time, I want to do a full review of that job description, and so you'll be seeing that coming through in the future. But it does say in there, so in case this comes up, that the city attorney at this point in time does have a backup in case they are unavailable. That would be at this point in time the finance officer, because I am the insurance liaison via my job description as well. But there is a stipulation in there at the mayor's request that if something comes up, the appointee will, and Mr. Jensen is not available, the appointee will then speak to the mayor, and then the mayor will decide if it needs to become pertinent enough or emergent enough or follow our policy deadlines enough before Mr. Jensen can be back, and then it would be turned over to the finance officer. In a separate room for privacy.
Right.
Any other comments?
Sounds good. Good move.
Very good. Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. The question is amending Resolution 2312, the City of Winter Personnel Policy Book. Councilman Frank.
Yes.
Councilman Schramm.
Aye.
Councilman Clunt.
Yes.
Councilman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle.
Yes.
The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. Item number 4. Council, is there a motion?
Motion to approve first reading of ordinance 53, an ordinance establishing authority to set rates for swimming pools.
Is there a second to this motion?
I will second that, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Clunt has made a motion to place on first reading ordinance 1053, which is an ordinance establishing authority to set rates for the winter swimming pool. Councilman Schramm is the second on the motion. The floor is open to comments or questions.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Mr. Jensen, you have the floor.
Thank you. For council's and the public's information, in a way, this is a housekeeping matter only because of the fact that you'll recall that prior to the last meeting, it had always in the years past been part of the finance officer's duties, basically because nobody else ever did it, to take care of setting rates for the swimming pool and things like that. You passed a resolution in the last meeting that did that, but in fact, we go back and we look through our ordinances, and frankly, the city council has never officially authorized the establishment of setting rates for the swimming pool. So under this ordinance, the resolution, it provides the vehicle to set the rates, and we've also included in the ordinance the fact that once these rates have been set, if council doesn't act year to year to make any changes, it will apply a CPI adjustment every year to help keep everything going financially in the same role that it is.
Floor is open to comments or questions.
And every year, we don't have to take a rate increase if we vote not to.
Correct,
That is correct.
That's what this says.
correct. The main thing is, Councilman Schramm, it sets it up as an automatic action that will be a raise if council doesn't act.
Yep. Round it to a quarter,
Correct,
round it up to a quarter based on CPI.
correct.
But if we think that's too much, we can just make a motion not to enact.
You certainly can. You certainly can.
Any other comment or question? Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of placing on first reading ordinance 1053, an ordinance establishing the authority to set rates for the winter swimming pool, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously 5-0. Item number 5. Council, do you have a motion?
I will make a motion to enter the contract by agreement with Engel Trucking for hauling garbage to Puckwana and have the mayor sign it.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Hockett has made a motion to enter into a contract agreement with Engel Trucking for the purpose of hauling garbage to Puckwana and have the mayor sign it. The agreement. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Schramm. Floor is open to comment or question. Hearing none, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Schramm,
Aye.
Councilman Clunt,
Yes.
Councilman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle,
Yes.
and Councilman Frank.
Yes.
The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously 5-0. Item 6. Council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign an independent Viking glass for repairs to the doors at the city hall in the amount of $5,365 with 50% due up front.
Is there a second to this motion?
I will second that motion.
Councilman Clunt has made a motion to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Independent Viking Glass for repairs to doors at City Hall in the amount of $5,365 with 50% due up front. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Hockett. Floor is open to comments or questions.
Is that just the front doors?
No, it is actually all of our glass doors around the building. We have found that they don't shut unless you push them shut. And it's due to settling, and these doors have not been adjusted in many, many years. Had someone come in and adjust them as much as they could. Direct Technologies, when they put our mag locks on, adjusted them as much as they could, but that's not their specialty, so they weren't comfortable moving any further than that. I did attempt to get 3 quotes. Another gentleman out of Yankton came and looked at it, Thaddeus, and that is on your information that you have in front of you. He is actually who won the bid up at the school to replace all of their doors, and ultimately he said he doesn't work with these type of doors. He gave me his subcontractor's name. I attempted to reach out to them twice with no communication back from them. So I did reach out to 3 individuals. The main reason that this has to come before council versus me just getting it done is because I need the 50% down, which can only be approved by council. If you do choose to approve this, I would ask that you add the $2,682.50 to the claims tonight.
One question. You said the mag strips are why it's not closing. In their quote, it's highlighted that they will not. The mag strips are not letting the doors close, and they will not touch them.
Direct Technologies has been informed that it's part of their issue. Tom has informed me that it won't be an issue, that if they need somebody here at the same time this guy is here, they will make sure that they're here.
Okay.
Any other comment or question?
Do we know when they're gonna get this done?
They would not give me a date until council approved this contract.
Okay. Is this the same contract that I also read that they specifically said this is an estimate only, and when the job is done, it might cost more?
It says, not included in the proposal is water testing, final cleaning, flashing, and if they were to have to do the mag locks, that would not be included. They're gonna put new closers and 15 hinges on. That is what the quote is for. If anything else happens above that, then we would have to do a change order at that time, and they would have to notify me before they complete the job.
Okay. But before they complete it, and if there's gonna be additional cost, they just stop and wait for us to meet again then?
They would have to.
Very good, good.
At least do the job that they said they were going to do, and then if they have to make adjustments to that.
Okay.
Any other comment or question, council? Hearing none, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. The question is a motion to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Independent Viking Glass for repairs to doors at City Hall in the amount of $5,365 with 50% due up front. Councilman Klent?
Yes.
Councilman Hockett?
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle?
Yes.
Councilman Frank?
Yes.
And Councilman Schram.
Aye.
The ayes have it. This motion will carry unanimously 5-0. Final item tonight under new business are the claims for the city of Winter. Council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims with the addition of the PCN and Viking Glass payments.
I like it. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
You must have been taking notes.
He was.
Councilman Klent has made a motion to pay the claims for the city of Winter, including the pay request for PCN and the authorized payment to Independent Viking Glass. Floor is open to comment or question, council. Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of paying the claims for the city of Winter, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This motion will carry unanimously 5-0. There are no executive sessions this evening.
Mr. Mayor, before we adjourn, I would like to mention that the police vehicles are filthy. Why aren't they being kept up and cleaned? I mean, they are.
I wonder, how do you know that they're filthy? Have you been in them?
The outsides are filthy.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I
the
guess
public sees this, and it's like, okay, when we want, down the road, when these vehicles are gonna need to be replaced, why do you wanna replace them? They don't take care of them.
Sure. I don't have an answer without asking the question. I think that's appropriate for a committee to ask that question in committee on the operational side.
Because I've been questioned several times by the public.
Sure. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Councilman Hockett with a motion to adjourn. The second goes to Councilman Sprinkle. All those in favor of adjourning, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously 5-0.
They look horrible.
Well, I didn't know